What's up everybody? In today's video, we will be ranking the 5 Spider-Man No Way Home villains based on their design glow-ups. So basically, their No Way Home designs versus their original film designs. Now, if you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home just yet, this video might contain spoilers, so, you know, if you don't want anything spoiled, well, watch the film first. Do yourself a favor, it's really good. And just a reminder, these videos are made possible by my supporters on this platform, so if you do want to support me, be sure to hit that big, beautiful subscribe button. And be sure to check out the Patreon link in the description below. So, in 5th place, bottom place, is the Sandman. The reason he's bottom place is because I do not think that this design change was a glow-up. Quite the opposite, but I understand why they needed to do it this way. In Spider-Man 3, for the most part, Sandman was still Thomas Hayden Church making a physical performance, but his limbs would turn into sand-like objects and weapons. And he could transform himself into a being made entirely out of sand, but he only did that on special occasions. Now, with Spider-Man No Way Home, it was made at a rather complicated time with the pandemic going on and everything, so certain actors couldn't necessarily attend shooting, and to work around that, they made Sandman an entirely CGI character, with Thomas Hayden Church providing the voiceover. Now, I appreciate, though, that they did give this Sandman the overall likeness of Thomas Hayden Church, as opposed to just making it a purely Sandman. And I think this is a good little workaround. It in no way impacts the film in any negative way or anything like that, but I personally don't think it compares to a physical performance. And I think the Spider-Man 3 counterpart just has more of that sort of comic booky Sandman look with the green sweater. Of course, we do get a tiny little bit of that in archival footage at the end of the film. But as it is, yeah, Sandman, he's a glowed down, unfortunately. Not a massive one, it's not contentious. This is just, for the sake of this video, I would say, yeah, I prefer the Spider-Man 3 version. In 4th place is Lizard, who's pretty much unchanged, to be honest. I don't know if I'm supposed to even include him on this list, because it's ranked based on their appearances compared to how they looked in the original, and he basically just looks the same. I think they've darkened his eyes a little bit, made them look a little bit more reptilian, which I really like. But on a whole, I'm indifferent. It's the Lizard, as he appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man 1. Yeah. In 3rd place, we have Doc Ock. So, Doc Ock's design in Spider-Man 2 was already a pretty clever way of kind of bringing Doc Ock's design up to date at that time. However, it is definitely safe to say that through the lens of today, Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2 was very much a product of the Matrix era of film. That nerdy guy in a hazmat suit look that we had in the original comic books was traded in for the long trench coat and round shades look, which was kind of a good way of making a villain appear in the early 2000s, and I would still say it holds up pretty well. Although I will say when you watch Spider-Man 2 and this guy rocks up in this outfit, you will be going, yeah, he kind of looks a little Matrix-y. I would have been perfectly fine if Spider-Man No Way Home kept that, but they did an ever so slight and subtle update to this suit to bring it up to date with modern sensibilities. But it's done in just an ever so slight and very tasteful way. Doc Ock's trench coat is now a bit of a brighter shade of green to fit with the more comic booky aesthetic of the MCU. That's not to say that the aesthetic of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films wasn't comic booky, but I think the MCU kind of ramps things up with the colors paying homage to the comic books. And the big brown leather coat that he wears under his big green coat is now worn open. However, rather than exposing his chest like it did in the originals, which is actually a bit gruesome because you can see where that Ock clamp thing was cutting off circulation around his chest, this film gives Ock a nice tasteful turtleneck. And as a seasoned turtleneck wearer myself, I must say I really do approve of that. This is a glow up in regards to the fact that it doesn't really eclipse the original design by any stretch, but it brings it up to date. And it's done in a way that doesn't throw out anything about Doc Ock's previous look. Also, for a big chunk of this movie, Doc Ock is sporting red and gold tentacles because of where he's augmented the Iron Spider onto them. And that's a neat little look as well. In 2nd place for biggest glow up is Green Goblin, whose redesign is a little bit more radical than Doc Ock's was. So I think a lot of fans are of the opinion that while the Sam Raimi Spider-Man film really got Spider-Man's costume right, the Green Goblin was more of a swing and a miss, who looked more like kind of a Power Ranger than the actual Green Goblin. I completely disagree with that sentiment. Because, to my knowledge, I'm pretty sure Power Rangers wear spandex, but anyway, the armored look didn't do it for everyone. And a lot of people really didn't like the mask and the fact that there was a little less purple on this one. Rather than sections of the suit being purple, they kind of gave it purple chameleon paint so you'd see purple shades in certain lights. And the mask was also kind of subject to mockery as well. Because why would Norman Osborn go rolling around in a military suit with an obviously very evil goblin-esque mask on? Well, I'll tell you why, because Norman has a fascination with tribal warriors and kabuki masks are all around his penthouse, so it makes perfect sense that he made his own kabuki mask, but okay. Alright, I guess that's detail not everybody appreciates. So put it this way, I thought that the 2002 design was a really clever way to remake that classic Green Goblin look. How does the No Way Home suit stack up? Well, I feel like they found a way to appease the critics of the original 2002 look, while not really throwing out the overall aesthetic of it either. So it is shown that Norman Osborn does destroy the Green Goblin helmet during one of his manic episodes, and then tries to cover up his suit by wearing a purple hoodie and green pajamas. This of course gets damaged in battle, leading to us getting our final Green Goblin design, which is basically a very damaged version of that 2002 suit, but with a shredded purple hoodie over it. And of course, he's no longer wearing his Green Goblin mask. Now, the removal of the mask is something I would be against were it not for the fact that Willem Dafoe's face is expressive enough and goblin-esque enough, sorry Willem Dafoe, to make this work, but I feel like almost any other actor, this wouldn't work. He also wears goggles while he's flying, kind of giving you those big goblin-y eyes. And of course, as well as that, he's got his iconic Green Goblin satchel. So overall, this is definitely the more comic-accurate looking Green Goblin. If you've been really waiting for the Green Goblin to get that purple hood, you got it. It's finally done. Now, based on my own preference and bias, not gonna lie, I still really love the 2002 look the most. Like, put it this way, if you said, hey, pup, what would you rather have on display in your room? The classic 2002 Green Goblin or the modern MCU Green Goblin? I'd probably go with the 2002, not gonna lie. But this is a glow up in the way that it is what was right for the film. The Green Goblin is a different kind of threat in this film to what he was in 2002, and I think this design suits him for that role a lot better, as well as the fact that it does bring it up to date, and I can 100% see why they made the changes. And as far as changing that design goes, I think this was the best possible way of doing it. I have a huge amount of sentimental attachment and bias towards the 2002 version, but I will say this is much more the convincing design. It's more modern, it's more comic accurate, and it's more realistic, and that should be an improvement on every basis. So I think they did a fantastic job, and I think this is the perfect redesign for 2002's Green Goblin, and pretty much the perfect live-action Green Goblin look. And in first place for biggest glow-up, should come as no surprise, it's Electro. Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is an example of where they've tried to make this very comic bookish looking villain look a little bit more realistic, and it's completely backfired and ended up looking more ridiculous than the classic comic book version. And I love it. In a more over-the-top and silly movie, this design would be gold. But Electro was very out of place in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, as was his design. And I don't think even the MCU could really pull off that look. Which is where we enter the MCU's evolution of Electro, who is basically a completely unrecognizable character, to the version that we saw in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Gone is the CGI-laden blue electric skin. Instead, we've got Jamie Foxx in more of just a Jamie Foxx appearance. But even then, he still doesn't resemble the Max Dillon of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 either. This is a very different Electro, but it is the same Electro as far as continuity is concerned. As for his design, where The Amazing Spider-Man 2 took more influence from the Ultimate Comics, this one takes its inspiration from the 616 by giving Electro a green and yellow color scheme for his outfit. Yes, that's the right direction to go. The cherry on top of this is that when Electro kind of warps into the scene, and when he's kind of at full power, he's got that Electro mask shape made out of electricity produced from his eyes, which looks seriously awesome. But not only that, it pays a huge homage to the comic book look. The actual outfit itself is definitely a lot more grounded than the rubber blue suit from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This, again, it looks like a practical outfit for an Electric Man. Can I just say, I love that they gave him short sleeves. He looks like an absolute Chad. Yep, the spandexy look of the classic Electro costume is gone in favor of him wearing sort of a green sort of over vest with like an Under Armour shirt on, and he's got these big gauntlet-y gloves with cables and stuff all over him, the cables being yellow and the rest of being green. He's got these sort of khaki pants on and a big metal belt, and he just looks awesome. This looks like the perfect modern adaptation of Electro's design. And for as different as this is, it still manages to perfectly resemble that classic Electro look. He's also got an arc reactor on his chest as well, which is the main source of most of his power, so he's not going to power down in battle. This is a total 180 from a design that just didn't work through to a design that actively excels. And like Green Goblin's look, it's more comic accurate, and it's more realistic and convincing. So yeah, Electro in this movie had the ultimate glow up. Let me know what you think of these redesigns in the comments section below. And of course, let me know if there's anything I've missed out or haven't noticed. I really have to say, as far as MCU Spider-Man villains go, I'm in love with the aesthetic that we've had over the years. I think they did an excellent job with Vulture and Mysterio, and they did excellent jobs with the villains in Spider-Man No Way Home, making them kind of resemble the classic comic bookish looks, but at the same time pulling inspiration from their respective films, which is truly a labor of love on all counts. God, I love this movie. I got way more to say about it, you know. The previous videos I've made about this were after first viewing. There's a lot more to say after a second one, so stay tuned for that. So what do you guys think? If you enjoyed this video and you want to support more like it, be sure to hit that big, beautiful subscribe button. And of course, in the description below are links to different social media feeds, including the Patreon. If you're feeling extra generous, like the following people, who are JK Strife, Marcus Ward, Sirius the Skeptic, Biotin Arts, Mr. SP, David 20 Covers, Sergio, George is Lost, Legendary Ray Ray, Cheesemaster769, Adam Myers, and Fayalan Schwarzentrau. Thank you guys, you are the best of the best, but as for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a great day.